Hello everybody, welcome to the Raw Life Health Show. Today we are going to be talking about this video here that says why a raw food diet is not healthy. And this doctor here, Astaxanthin Heyne, I never heard of him before, but I found this video and I want to address it because I don't want people to have a false understanding of the raw diet and a raw vegan diet. And many things can mean raw diet or raw vegan diet, so it can be unhealthy if you're not doing it the right way. But myself and others are proof that if you do this the right way, it could be perfectly healthy and quite possibly the best diet that you could possibly eat. And we're going to talk about that as well. So I wanted to reply to this video and do a reaction to this video. We forwarded over a little between the beginning of the video. He has some educational, some promotional things at the beginning of the video. So I'll put the link to the original video below so you can check it out later if you'd like. And I am a big supporter of Eastern medicine technologies and the discoveries. I really think they're far beyond Western medicine. But again, I'm not aware of them saying a raw vegan diet is not healthy. I know some of Eastern medicine will say raw vegan diet might not be cooling enough because, or might not be heating enough because there's heating and cooling foods, but they look for more of a balance, so they might say add a little cooked food to the diet, and I'm okay with that from a health standpoint. If you want to eat mostly raw and add some cooked food to it, if it's not processed much, if it's only like steamed vegetables or things like this, that can add the heating element to it. I don't think that needs to be done if you live in a proper environment. Maybe if you're in a colder environment, that might be okay for you. But by any means, if you're eating a raw vegan diet 100% in the right environment and eating at the right time and following what should be healthy, you could be fine, and it's a very healthy diet. I disagree with this doctor. That's why I wanted to make this video. Now, this video is 2 years old, and I'm getting into it now, but the important thing is we're getting to it to address what he's saying. So I want to hear why he's saying the vegan diet is not healthy, the raw vegan diet, and I want to address those points. So we're going to get right into the video now, and here we go.
So we are talking about raw vegan diets here, and it seems to be
I'm going to be injecting my comments in between this because right here he says the truth about raw vegan, and he calls it high vibe diets. So he's going to be talking about that. And let's see what he has to say.
Very trendy thing, both within California, within influencers on YouTube and on the internet, on Instagram.
Right. He says the raw vegan diet is trendy. Trendy. Well, because of the internet, I might have a little bit more following today, but the original diet of man was a raw vegan diet. Every diet after that is trendy. But the original diet was raw vegan. So consider that. And let's hear more. And by the way, the term diet is not really accurate because it's a lifestyle. It's not really a diet. It's a way of eating, but it's not like a diet is like I got to go on a diet to lose weight or something. That's not the only reason to eat a raw vegan. So it's more of a lifestyle than a diet. However, I'll say diet because this is what the terms we use today. But let's hear.
And there's a specific kind of archetype that seems to find this very appealing. I said in this in this segment the truth about raw vegan diets and high vibe diets. What is tricky is that I find that a lot of people believe that a raw vegan diet is high vibe. Now, I don't know what high vibe really means from a medical perspective. What I track with my patients is really how they feel, and they're both subjective and objective symptoms and reporting. So someone can, of course, say that they feel good, but based on the symptoms they're having, it is not a sign of good health. Now, I actually had a conversation with a woman, not a patient.
That's a good point. Many people say they feel good, but they're more stimulated than true feeling good. So a very good point. So you shouldn't just go by how you feel. You have to look at the other things. You got to look at your digestion, your sleep, your blood work, and look at a lot of other things. And this is what they do in Eastern culture medicine. versus Western medicine, which is just how do you feel and maybe your blood work, but they don't consider many of these other factors. So I like Eastern medicine, but again, I'm not aware of them saying that the raw vegan diet is not healthy. And I know people that are doing a raw vegan diet that are not healthy because they're not doing it. I think this title might have been more appropriate. Say the raw vegan diet is not healthy if you do it the wrong way. But if you do it the right way, I would consider the healthiest way you could possibly eat. And let's hear what he has to say.
Not anyone that I know personally, complete random person. And they said to me, she found that her menses stopping as a result of doing a raw vegan diet was a sign that she was becoming high vibration. And if I had a CGI team, I would have my head exploding right now and just splattering on the screen. Thinking that your menses stopping is a good thing is what a mentor of mine said is almost psychosis. This is not a good sign of female health. And I find that there are...
Now, he's saying menses, but he means the menstrual cycle. So somebody, as he was saying, came to him and said, oh, I'm on a raw vegan diet and my menstrual cycle stopped, so it's a good thing. Typically, when a woman's, especially a younger woman's menstrual cycle stops, it's not a good sign of health. However, I have interviewed long-term raw foodists in my book that have been doing this a long time, and many of them said when you go to a raw vegan diet, your menstrual cycle will be much lighter and less painful, and perhaps stop if you're really, really clean. I don't believe many people will get to that point of cleansing where it can be a healthy sign, because it's people that are doing a raw vegan diet are not doing it the right way. And I think if you get too malnourished or go underweight, it can be a definite sign when your menstruation stops that you're not doing this the right way. However, if you're doing it the right way, your cycle should be lighter and less painful, or could be. I won't say should be, because if it's not, I don't want you to think you're doing it the wrong way. But definitely the worse you eat, the more animal products you eat, it should be heavier and more painful. As these people I interviewed that have been eating a raw vegan diet a long time successfully and know about the body was saying the reason why it stops is because the body's trying to get rid of a lot of waste, not only in blood, but just a lot of toxins. And when you're eating healthier, you have less toxins, so there's less to get rid of. And if you're completely healthy, it's going to get rid of all of them. Now, just because your menstruation is stopping, it doesn't mean you're not ovulating and you can't get pregnant and you're not producing eggs. It just means you're not going to have as much blood to expel. And whether that's true or not, this doctor heard that, and I understand his reason for great concern. But I know a good amount of women eating a raw vegan diet, and very few of them did their menstruation stop. As a matter of fact, I know a lot more people not on a raw vegan diet that have this issue. And being underweight and malnourished are two common causes of it. It's definitely not a sign of good health, but I understand his concern. But people like this, they address, well, somebody on a raw vegan diet said this, so they think they're healthy. I think his issue is more that they think they're healthy, whereas the average person eating standard American diet, their menstruation stops and they know they're not healthy. So I think he's talking about the delusional idea that people think they're healthy when this happens.
There are many examples just like this where a lot of people apply New Age thinking or spiritual thinking or pseudo-spiritual thinking to biology, physiology, biochemistry, and I think it is often more damaging than it is good. But let's talk about this a little bit more concretely now. Why do we trust an idea or an ideology when the body is showing symptoms? I'll give you 5 symptoms I've seen in people who are raw vegans that should not be raw vegans.
Okay, so he says he's going to give us some reasons why, or symptoms that appear in raw vegans that people should not be raw vegans. Everyone, especially if you're experiencing symptoms, should try a raw vegan diet. But like whenever you make a change, when you go to a gym, you're going to have a lot more success if you have a trainer. So it's always wise to follow somebody who has been doing this for a while and can help guide you. If you do it on your own, you can slow your process and perhaps in doing it wrong get injured. Well, this is a problem many people have. But let's hear what his symptoms that he looks out for people that should not be a raw vegan diet.
Which is pretty much everybody.
Now he said everybody. He said no one should be on a raw vegan diet. He just said. If I would have came to him years ago with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, which I got better from by eating a raw vegan diet, somebody like this would have advised me not to do it. And I got better and have been better now for many, many years. So when somebody says everyone like that should not do this, it raises a red flag for me.
Number one is diarrhea or digestive upset. Having constant gas, constant bloating, loose stools, not a sign of good health from Chinese medicine. Bad, bad, bad sign. Regardless of what you think your diet is, if you're having that, it's not a good diet. And of course, there are many reasons other than dietary reasons that you may be having those. But keep that in mind. Symptom number.
So having an upset stomach or gas or things like this, not a good sign. Many people go to a raw vegan diet because they're experienced signs like that. But what he's trying to say is if you honor this raw vegan diet and you're having those issues, it's not a good sign. Well, if you follow correct food combining and you don't already have a digestive problem, I haven't seen people run to this issue. Maybe people are eating too much broccoli or they're not chewing their food correctly, but again, that's not a good example. That it's not a good sign if you're in a raw vegan diet. It's not for you.
Number two is just visibly emaciated. And I hate to use this because it's superficial, but there is something to visual observation to see if somebody's healthy or not. Facial color. Are they pale and they have pallor like I do? Not a good sign. Do they have abnormally dark circles under their eyes? Not a good sign. Are they someone who's just unhealthily skinny?
So I'm in partial agreement with here. I think a lot of people, if you're going to be healthy, you should look healthy. But what is health to somebody's opinion? When I first started eating a raw vegan diet, I was overweight, but I looked okay to the average person. But then when I went raw, I lost a good amount of weight, and people said, "Oh, you look too skinny," but I was actually healthy. So I agree with him. If somebody's loses too much weight too quickly and their perception of the world is that you're too skinny, well then it's going to look like it's not good to them. However, a lot of people might say, oh, they don't look good, but they look really great. So I agree with him partially here. Now, if somebody is way, way underweight, has dark circles under their eyes, and just visibly doesn't look good, I wouldn't necessarily take them on a raw vegan diet. I would tweak up the diet to see where it's going wrong, why they're in that situation, and make those proper adjustments. Because remember, a raw vegan diet could be somebody eating dates and raw snacks all day long, or it can be eating somebody who's juicing with green juices, somebody who's exercising. So we got to look at the underlying cause. I'm surprised this fellow would say that the diet is the issue when it's a person exercising and there are other issues, and not that we should count calories, but it's also something to consider, because you can't take somebody who just got off a 30-day water fast and say that's not working for you. You got to ask them the question, well, how long have you been doing this? Somebody said they've been doing it for 5 years. They have no menstrual cycle. They have dark circles on their eyes for 5 years. That's a reason for concern. We need to change something around, not necessarily get off the raw vegan diet, but fix something. Somebody says they've been doing this for 2 weeks, they're detoxing, or they just got off a long fast. Well, that might not be as much a reason for concern. So I wouldn't jump to conclusions as quick as this person's saying.
They look frail. Not a good sign. Symptom number 3, I would say, is hair falling out, feeling cold, and general hypothyroid symptoms. The number of women that come to me that have what looks like a hypothyroid picture and they are adamantly raw vegan, this will only worsen that. from my clinical experience and based on what Chinese medicine views a raw vegan diet as. Keep in mind that there is, to my understanding, there is no indigenous culture in the world that is a raw vegan culture, right? There are some that are a little bit more vegetarian, some that are almost entirely meat, like the Eskimo. Diets, consider them the most proven diets in the survivors throughout history.
Once again, hair falling out or something like this is definitely a sign something might not be ideal. But you have to look at the blood work, see if there are deficiencies, and handle those appropriately. I wouldn't say abandoning a raw vegan diet is the answer. And as for no place around the world where they're doing a raw vegan diet long term, well, there are places that are doing a vegan diet that have proven that eliminating animals from the diet is definitely a healthier way to go. And people that eat standard American diet, their hair's falling out as well. A lot of people have thyroid issues. Most people, from my experience, that are into the raw vegan diet are not doing it a long time. And many of their underlying issues, whether it's dental or thyroid or something else, were already pre-existing before they got into it. And these people are struggling with something that need help to overcome it. And the raw vegan diet may bring out the symptoms to the level where, okay, now we know what we got to look for. It may not. I wouldn't box everybody in one situation when it comes to if this is happening, the raw vegan diet is not working for you. I tell everyone, do what's working for you when it comes to health and diet. Eat what's working for you. But don't say, well, all this other stuff is working and this isn't, when it's usually the other way around. Let's hear some more.
Even the blue zones, it is primarily plant-based, but they still have coffee, they still have wine in many of them, they still have meat. But the obsession...
By the way, coffee, wine, and meat are some of the 3 worst things you can put in your body.
With raw vegan, one can eat vegetables or can eat healthy without it being all raw vegan and without it being all raw. So continuing off that, these are often symptoms that are hypothyroid. And there even is someone who's an influential YouTubers, personalities, celebrities, authors who were vegan or raw vegan, and then due to poor health had to reintroduce meat. The Dalai Lama was...
Well, many of these people that were doing raw vegan and had to reintroduce meat didn't have to. They chose to because often they missed the flavor and the taste of carcasses and the texture of the meat. It's more mental doing raw than it is a diet thing. The diet part is easy, but it's more mental, and a lot of people couldn't handle the missing of their old foods because people are addicted to meat and addicted to other foods. As for Hollywood and people like that, I mean, there are a lot of people like to flip-flop and change between diets, but when you take things out like meat, bread, and grains and processed foods, people then they only go a short amount of time before they run back to that. If you're eating a raw vegan diet and you miss those types of foods, there are substitutes you can make to have the same flavor and so on as that. You don't have to go back to eating the meat.
Was someone that was vegetarian and then had to add fish to his diet due to health problems. So consider that what we should be focusing on maybe is...
And the Dalai Lama is definitely somebody who's not the exact perfect form of health. And just because the Dalai Lama couldn't eat a vegetarian diet and had to eat fish, I wouldn't use that as an example of what we should or shouldn't do.
Really, the subjective and the objective, how we actually feel, using symptoms, using how you feel, using objective diagnoses to confirm that this is health and not our concept of what we think health is. More symptoms I see here a lot, fluid or water retention. I tend to see most often, the women that I see, it looks like an anemic picture, right? Hypothyroid, Hashimoto's is what eventually for some of them it leads to. So if you're fatigued all the time, you're having digestive problems, and you're cold, I mean, there are so many other things that can happen. Your hair's falling out, your hair's thin, your hair looks dry. Not a good sign. In Chinese medicine, we say that the hair is the excess, the surplus of the blood. When we...
Well, there's only really one major symptom of disease or a cause. It's either a deficiency or a detoxification. And now there's many different levels or stages of that, which doctors will name diseases after. And of course, there's other environmental things, and there's other non-dietary factors and diet factors. But often the underlying cause or cure is a deficiency or a detoxification. And often a problem is they're told that they're the same thing. And if you treat a deficiency like a detoxification, then you have a problem. The major issue people have, whether you're eating a raw vegan diet or not, is they're eating too much, too often, and too late. And without even changing to an all raw vegan diet, if you just address those three things, you're probably going to show big improvement in your condition. Now, if you have a massive deficiency in something, you're not getting enough of something, and you're treating it like you're doing too much, and you start cleansing or fasting or something, now you're making it even worse. So the problem isn't people going on a raw vegan diet. The problem isn't treating correctly what the problem is. You can't treat a detoxification like a deficiency, and you can't treat a deficiency like a detoxification. I mistakenly often see a lot of people, when they get into eating healthier, start to show signs of detoxification, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's like if somebody's drinking coffee and they stop, and then they start getting a headache, which is known as a caffeine headache. So, and then this must be good, coffee must be good for me, because when I drink it, I don't have a headache. So they go back to drinking coffee. That's what this guy is kind of explaining. Because oftentimes when people go on a raw vegan diet, now for the first time in their lives, they're giving their bodies a chance to detoxify and cleanse. And it's a good thing. But because they start feeling the symptoms of that, they go back to what they were doing, and it stops the symptom coming out. Now, it must be done correctly, because I see sometimes people saying, oh, it's just a detox. Well, a detox has specific symptoms and shouldn't last years. So even though our bodies are always cleansing, the detox symptoms should and could go away. So there's a fine line between understanding this all, but I definitely disagree with this doctor who's saying a raw vegan diet is not healthy for anyone.
Say a woman wants to build her blood, for example, after giving birth, one of the things we recommend is a formula that includes lamb meat, lamb being one of the warmest, quote, blood-building foods. And a raw vegan diet is one of the coldest, depleting kind of diets that a person can have. A lot of people feel better in the short run, though, because when you come from a standard American diet, of course, when you're eating a 800-calorie meal versus more vegetables, that's like a couple hundred calories, maybe 500, even with an oil-based sauce. So you're going to, of course, feel better when you're eating more vegetables, and it's a...
Yeah, I would never... For women that have just gave birth or pregnant, eating animal, I think puts them in more danger, because there's so many toxins in that animal, and so many things they can get through those toxins. You know, it's important for pregnant women to look at the iron, and to rebuild the iron. There's definitely vegan ways to do that, and vegan supplements to do that. Eating a lamb or any other animal to raise your iron levels, is something that people look at. Oh, it just has more iron, so you'll get more iron, but they're not looking at the toxic part of that. So people have to make a decision. If you want to be eating animals or taking a supplement, you might say, well, why do we need a supplement if it's the best diet? Well, the body's going to require more if you're bringing another life into the world or breastfeeding. And at that point, you need to eat more of something, whatever it is. So, supplements or herbs or whole foods, you might have to boost it up and eat more of them, and not just go to switch over to eat animals and give up on a diet that's been helping and working for you. See, a lot of people do this. They address things like the raw vegan diet and the issues. I could simply make a video about and I should, right? All cooked food diets or all meat-based diets are not healthy, and get into cancer, the massive amount of diabetes, and the massive amount of all the other diseases that people suffer from on a daily basis. Seconds, every second, people are suffering from and dying from all these things. And they're all eating the standard American diet or one of these new, truly trendy diets. And why isn't this doc doing a connection on those? And, I could speak from experience with many others, but me personally, the raw vegan diet cured me of inflammatory bowel disease, also known as ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, and it's helped so many others. And the only people I see starting it and getting off it again are people that have issues with discipline, not, oh, it wasn't working for me. They just want to go back because they miss their cooked food or they miss their animals or something else. If something's not working, you tweak it up and you make it work. People say, oh, I tried everything. And then oh, you did the raw vegan diet? Yeah, what'd you eat? And they tell me what they ate. And I was like, whoa, of course it didn't work for you. Go get yourself a juicer and do some green vegetable juices. You can't sit and eat 50 bananas a day and never have a salad green or some juice and expect that your symptoms are going to go away. So let's hear some more.
A lighter meal, etc. And I'm not saying to never eat this. I'm not saying not to eat vegetables. I'm not saying you can not have one of these meals every now and then. But this ideology I see is more destructive in the majority of people really long term than it is a measure of good health. So because of the fact that this is considered a very, very cold and hard to digest diet, ironically, when you look...
So he just said it's a cold, because that's a heat thing I was talking about at the beginning, that they address the heat of the food, but hard to digest diet. The raw vegan diet is the easiest diet to digest. Now, if somebody has inflammatory bowel disease like I did or other digestive disorders, it might not be ideal for somebody to eat whole fruits and vegetables at that time. It'd be better maybe to blend them or do juices until they're better. But the raw vegan diet has the enzymes in there, and they're going to digest a lot better and a lot quicker than animals or bread or anything like that. Or even if you cook a vegetable. If you take a carrot whole versus a carrot cooked, it's going to digest better whole if you chew it properly. That's a big problem. There's a digestive enzyme in your saliva that you have to mix with your food. And when you start eating, you're supposed to chew it a lot. So you almost liquefy it in your mouth and then you digest it or swallow it. But if you're eating properly under the right context and circumstances, it's the best diet for digestion. And this false idea that it's not is just shows people's understanding or misunderstanding of this.
Look at really sick people, really, really, really severe GI illness. Like let's say Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis.
Oh, so I haven't heard this full video yet, and here he's talking about exactly what I had. Let's hear what he has to say.
When I hear from patients what they say they can only eat, they never, ever, ever say they can eat raw vegetables. Ever. That is one of the specific foods they reference will destroy their...
100% in agreement with him. 100%. I tell my clients that have ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, stay away from leafy green vegetables and all hard vegetables because the fiber is too hard and you don't have enough power in your gut to digest that properly, and it's going to make your problem worse, not better. But I put them on green vegetable juices and blended foods and add probiotics to their diet. Put some astaxanthin in their diet, some of the astaxanthin by Valasta, and they're getting better. But yeah, I wouldn't, just because straight up raw vegetables isn't good for somebody with ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, doesn't mean the raw vegan diet doesn't work. That's what I said. You got to make the appropriate adjustments for a person's situation. And you got to remember, when you're dealing with people with disease, it's a lot different than dealing with people that have not been diagnosed with the disease when you're making a diet change. The ideal time to make a diet change is often when you're not experiencing or diagnosed with a disease, because that gives your body the perfect situation to make that change. And you got to do it mentally as well. But when you get diagnosed with a disease or an illness and then you stop making a change, there's so many more challenges added to that. It's a lot easier to juice 3 times a day if you're healthy or not diseased than if you're diseased. I suffered from inflammatory bowel disease, the very disease this person's talking about, ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And I went to a place called Hippocrates Health Institute in West Palm Beach, Florida. And it's there I learned about the raw vegan diet. I called my doctor up in New York and she said, that's absolutely not healthy for you. Now, what she should have said and what I would tell people is it's not healthy for somebody. Be careful with eating whole vegetables and hard fruits at this point until you're better. But the enzymes and the understanding of the raw vegan diets is the best diet for you to be eating at this time. Make sure you cleanse and do it the right way. So we can't jump to conclusions that this diet's not going to work. I'm so glad I didn't meet this doctor when I was going through my illness, and he told me you got to stay away from the raw vegan diet, because that's what I would have thought. Now, if he would have told me what I tell people, stay away from this for a certain amount of time, but you could eat the green juice and so on, I would be right where I'm at today.
Insides. It's very common for anyone who sees digestive patients. What you will hear is that they'll say, I can only eat like plain boiled chicken or just white rice or apple juice. You're almost never going to hear that they can eat large amounts of bulk raw vegetables. And that's another key sign that when the gut is severely impaired, people will eat whatever they can eat just to survive and just to feel well.
Yeah, eating constipating foods, might make the symptoms go away. But that's more of a Western culture medicine, where Eastern medicine doesn't look for the symptoms as much as they're looking for the cause of the symptoms. And absolutely you have to deal with this. If you're suffering from digestive orders, you definitely want to be careful of how you're eating a raw food diet. But I wouldn't say a raw food diet is not healthy.
And the Chinese medicine point of view is that this is very cold, very hard to digest. And ironically, a lot of the people that I see already have digestive weakness and are already cold and are already often thinner. So why they gravitate towards this diet, I'm honestly not quite sure. But for most, it's really not a very healthy thing. The point of me sharing this video is not to slam raw vegans or the raw vegan diet. It's just to suggest, why do people trust an ideology over their own body's knowledge? Their own body.
Well, he keeps calling it ideology, and he talks about their own knowledge. People don't have knowledge about health today. They just don't. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest about people listening to their bodies and their own knowledge, because they don't know. They don't know about diet. They're corrupted by the media, and they don't know. As for calling this diet an ideology, it's the original diet of man, the original diet we ate. Anything added to that or different from that, that's an ideology. If we stripped everything and went back to the way we were designed and born to eat, we'd be eating a raw vegan diet. Now, again, I don't suggest everyone has to be on a 100% raw vegan diet to experience the benefits of raw foods. Adding a little cooked food is wonderful. There are even some people that could eat some meat and still experience great health. However, the raw vegan diet is not healthy. So I understand this man's concerns. But I also understand his lack of understanding about diet and his lack of experience about treating disease, because you don't abandon the diet. You just change up how it's being done. And it's not a common thing out there, so I get it. I interviewed a lot of people that have been doing this a long time, and that's how I learned. I learned from Dr. Fred Bishey, who's in his 90s and been on a raw vegan diet for over 60 years. The common medical people out there do not understand how this works. And people like this doctor that don't understand Eastern medicine might have a better idea to understand these things. But even then, they don't have a great idea unless they have personal experience doing it, and also try to stay not superficial and just looking at the way a person looks to decide if this is working for them or not. almost 30 years now, I've been eating a raw vegan diet. I took a few years off in between to try to experiment and go back to eating a non-raw vegan diet. And that didn't work for me. Immediately, I started to get sick again. So I went right back to what was worked for me for all these years, raw vegan. And that's what I'm promoting. I'm here to help anyone. I do coaching and help anyone who's interested in trying it, or especially somebody who's suffering from a disease, especially ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, and is looking to get healthy again and stay healthy.
Body's wisdom. If your body is having just a horrendous response to something that you've convinced yourself is good for you, maybe consider why that is. And maybe consider that your body often is a lot smarter than the diet you are trying to give it. That often, not always, your body will know what is good for it. And that if you're getting all these other symptoms, but you've convinced yourself this diet is good for you, maybe try listening to your body's symptoms instead for a period of time and see your results on that. All right, guys.
I tell everybody, do what's working for you. Do what's working for you. McDonald's is not usually working for people. Eating the standard American diet's not working for people. And the raw vegan diet won't work for people because of the social aspects and also because of their lack of knowledge of how to do that. Find what works for you. But I have found the ideal foods for us to eat for digestion and for overall health is a raw vegan diet. When it comes to certain conditions like digestive disorders, you just got to tweak it up more. And in certain situations, since we've gotten so far away from nature and the way we should be eating, you might have to add some supplements and things to help you get past a health challenge. Supplements instead of medicine. But the raw vegan diet works. It's not healthy. It's like this fellow says. So that's why I wanted to address this. Again, I'm going to put the original link below to his video, and you could check it out for yourself and see his other stuff if you want. But again, this was 2 years ago. I don't know if his thoughts have changed on this yet, but I just wanted to assure you out there that are interested in or eating a raw vegan diet, this works. And yes, you are making a major diet change or lifestyle change by eating this way, and you might experience symptoms of detoxification. You might run into challenges, but that's not a reason to abandon the best diet in the world or the best way to eat. You know, whether you want to not be 100% or be 100%, or you got to look at the environment you live in. You know, when you consider all of these different things, and also the fruit you're getting, and the vegetables you're getting, what kind you're getting, and are you eating too often, too late, you know, and miscombining your foods. All of these things are things to consider. And if you watch my videos, that's what I try to help people figure it out and understand. All right. Thank you for watching. Put your comments or questions below, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And I'll make some more of these reaction videos if I feel it's going to be helpful to you. And I hope this video is helpful to you. Until then, everybody have a great day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.